Fest, which is a really big business and political summit. And I was really honored that they asked me to speak because this is my roots, the libertarian Austrian economics group. Steve Forbes spoke, RFK Jr. speaking, Larry Elder's in there right now, and man, packed room. I'm so nervous. So nervous.
Thank you, TK. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank the Freedom Fest staff and team for inviting me. It's a real honor. I was speaking backstage about how one of Michael Shermer's early works was very important, and for me to question my assumptions, question my beliefs, become a better thinker. And this community has been part of my life for a long time, and it's an honor to be here, and I want to thank the staff for having me. Out of curiosity, is there anyone here who has absolutely no idea who I am? Never heard of me? Well, that fucking hurts. In 2006, I went to a very small Christian college in the middle of nowhere called Indiana Wesleyan University. I went there because I thought I was going to be a pastor. And while I was there, two things happened. Number one, there was a professor there who argued that the most Christian way to live, that the most Bible-based way to live was through free market capitalism. I'd never heard that argument before. And then I was also introduced to another individual while I was there. He was a doctor. And this doctor's name was Dr. Ron Paul, and he cured my apathy. Can I get an amen? Amen. It was these two individuals that made me see that the way to create change in the world was not by starting another church. It was not by starting another nonprofit. It was not even by volunteering. It was through using the strongest force in the world, and that's the force of unleashing entrepreneurs to participate in free market capitalism. Now, here in the Liberty community, I noticed something. I noticed that we like to be philosophers more than we like to be participants. We like to espouse the ideals of free market capitalism, but most of us are very happy staying on the sidelines, talking about it like it is a spectator sport, when in reality the way that we will move more people to our side of the debate is by leading by example. If you want to convince a socialist that we have a better way to take care of the underprivileged, start a business that takes care of the underprivileged. If you think that government needs to get off our backs so that we can create a freer, richer society, become a freer, richer person. If you believe that the government needs to get out of the business of healthcare, be healthy. So in 2017, I started capitalism.com with this idea of helping the next chapter of entrepreneurs lead by example. It's my opinion that the best way to change a community is to start a business that serves one core community, and that will create more change than any politician, any policy, or any debate ever will. It's also my opinion that if you empower one person with financial resources, with entrepreneurial know-how, with the drive to succeed, that you change that person's entire family tree. We may not get to that generation, but we will get to the descendants of that generation who come from an entrepreneurial family that has created resources that did not exist before, because as all of us know, we have an abundant pie that we get to build, and it is our responsibility to make that pie as big as possible. Yes, they will try to blame us for it. Yes, they will try to tax it away from us, but they cannot ignore the fact that we built it. That is my philosophy and my reason for helping and empowering entrepreneurs of the next generation at capitalism.com. It is also my opinion that there are more available resources and opportunities for entrepreneurs today than ever before, not less. It is my opinion that the evidence is very clear that there are more opportunities for financial abundance. There is more opportunities for people to turn their entire financial futures around very quickly than it has ever existed before, because freedom and capitalism is too powerful for government to restrict. Oh, they can try. Oh, they will try. But freedom always wins. You can try to hold it back temporarily, yes, but freedom always increases in its demand. I do not fear socialism because I know socialism does not work. I do not fear big tech because I know how to use big tech. I don't fear the fiat system because I know how to use the fiat system to buy assets. These are much more productive uses of this intelligence that exists in our community than trying to debate one another. This is what I believe. And I believe that not only are there more resources and more opportunities than have ever existed before, it's also my belief that there is more demand for entrepreneurial solutions than ever before. Some of you may be familiar with this brand. Is anyone familiar with Jeremy's Razors? Was there a need or a demand for another razor company? Was there a lack of them? Was there anyone upset about the razor shortage in 2020? No, but there was demand within a community for a different place to buy what they were already used to buying. We love to blame big tech. We love to blame censorship. But then you have a brand like Jeremy's Razors that uses big tech, that speaks out against censorship, and within 3 days of launch, you have a company with a $10 million recurring revenue base, and they didn't even have product. It was all done on pre-orders. Why? Because they chose to serve a very specific audience. Many of you were in that audience, and they launched product to serve this community. Tell me that there's censorship attacks and big tech is out to get us when there are entrepreneurs who are using it and leveraging it to build 8- and 9-figure companies over the course of 3 days. Tell me there's not more opportunity than has ever existed before. You might also be familiar with this example. Does anyone know Black Rifle Coffee? Some of you are excited about this brand. Now, in 2013, when this brand launched, was there a lack of coffee options in the market? Was there a shortage of coffee? Or did a few entrepreneurs say, we're going to make coffee for gun-owning Republicans? They had a community that they decided to serve, and today, a few years later, as of today, their valuation is down to only $1 billion. These are opportunities that did not exist a few decades ago. Try to tell me that the force of capitalism and the force of freedom is under attack. It's too strong. It always grows. It always wins. There are more opportunities for this community to create brands and businesses that serve the rest of this community. This is an example of a team that just decided, you know what? We're going to create products for our people. We're going to start a business for our people. Some people aren't going to like it. Some people will say things about it. But we're just going to do our thing for our people. And a few years later, they're a billion-dollar company. Jeremy's Razors will probably be on the same trajectory, having a $100 million, billion-dollar valuation. Because when you commit to serving a group of people and give them options that represent their values, you create more change by leading by example. Now, you may know these examples, but you may not know the examples like Jenna and Travis Ziegler, based out of Columbus, Ohio. They were eye doctors, and they thought, you know what? It would be really nice if by the time we retire, we could volunteer in South America, and we could play our part in reducing the need for government health care. We could go down in our retirement and we could do surgeries for people that have never had access to any eye care ever. So a few years ago, I worked with them to start an eye care brand. It was for dry eye sufferers. They had a very small community they just decided to serve. They launched products to that community. They served that community as experienced doctors. It's a brand called I Love. We took it to about $500,000 a month in top-line revenue over the course of a year. A very reasonable, nice small business. They had a very reasonable but life-changing seven-figure exit a few years in. And they said, wait a minute, that goal that we had when we retired, we can do that in our early 30s. And now we can spend our time bringing health care to people who have never had access to a doctor, ever. This does more for leading by example than espousing the values or talking about how government needs to get off our backs. This couple in their 30s is doing more to represent our ideals, and you've probably never heard of them. You might not have heard of Jared Springer. Jared was bankrupt and crippled a few years ago. Freak accident. Freak accident, crippled in a hospital bed, and the bills bankrupted him. Some might say the system failed him. Some might say that he needs to use the system. Some people might even say, thank God for the system to take care of this poor man. Jared decided to do something about it. Jared led by example. Jared started a business. He started pursuing it from his hospital bed. A few years later, he took that to a seven-figure run rate, had a $4 million exit. A few years later, is not only not crippled, he's semi-retired. He's a present dad. He's a published author. He's in the best shape of his life. He's leading by example of who his kids can become, of who his community can become. A capitalist did that. Capitalism did that. Not the system, not the government. A capitalist did that. You might not have heard of A.J. Patel. Immigrant family, moves to America. Son decides he doesn't want to follow in his family's footsteps. He wants to do something else. We meet when he's getting into the early days of entrepreneurship. He starts a couple brands. One of them works out really well. There's a brand called Zesty Paws. 2 years ago, it sold for $610 million. Now, sometimes this community likes to debate immigration policy. This immigrant comes in, builds a 9-figure company, creates a bunch of jobs, leads by examples, is doing more for the American dream than a lot of people who are just espousing the values of capitalism will ever do. He's changing more minds and more opinions, bringing more people to our side of the debate than any deep conversation will. This is the force of capitalism. A capitalist did that. So with the time that I have left, what I would like to do is to give you the 5-minute crash course in the entrepreneurial path of leading by example. It's my belief that it's a responsibility of every single one of us to have financial resources. That will do more for bringing people to our side of the debate than discussing policy will. You being financially independent, you being a successful entrepreneur, you being a multimillionaire will do much more to bring people into our community and change more minds. This is what I do at capitalism.com. I help people build 7-figure businesses that they can sell. We have a framework to do it, and with the 5 minutes that I have left, I'll give you the crash course. First of all, something that I've observed is that really successful entrepreneurs, they sell stuff. They build brands. Richest man in the world, he sells stuff. Most famous investor in the world invests in stuff. Jeff Bezos is the king of brands, stuff. Do you know that Rihanna made more money with her cosmetic line, her beauty brand, than she made in her entire music career combined? And most of you have no idea that she has one. She's a billionaire as a result. Kylie Jenner became one of the youngest female billionaires in history, not because she was famous, but because she built a cosmetic line. The Rock will make more money from his tequila brand than his entire acting career combined. Sell stuff. Build brands. It's the most predictable way for every entrepreneur who's like, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? I'm just sell stuff. Now, to a new entrepreneur, to a person with a dream, I tell them, framework, sell stuff. Then, let's get you to $1 million. Because when we sell stuff, when inflation happens, our price goes up. I don't know if you know this, but the price of stuff goes up over time. And we like to complain about inflation and government policy that creates inflation, but when you sell stuff, your stuff goes up with inflation. And artificial intelligence, as of right now, it can't make stuff. And as the world expands, as there's more opportunity, people buy more stuff, sell stuff. So the way you get to $1 million, this is third grade math. This is going to blow you away. It takes 4 products that do 25 sales a day at a $30 price point. That's it. That's it. When I share this with entrepreneurs, it's the first time a lot of them go, wait a minute. I can build a 7-figure business that I can have a multi-million-dollar exit at the other side of within 12 months. Yes, these are opportunities that did not exist even 10, 20 years ago. Tell me that capitalism is under threat when you can now have a multi-million-dollar business that can have an exit within 12 months using resources that didn't even exist 10 years ago. The fastest way for you to create a company that creates change, for you to change your entire financial future, is to create a community of one, serving one person. If you want to have Liberty dog treats, where you create dog treats for libertarians with golden retrievers, for the first time ever, that can be a multi-million-dollar business. There's 7 of you in this room right now that know 25 libertarian golden retriever dog dads that for the first time ever could create products, get to 25 sales a day, release 3 more of them, have $1 million business, and then have an exit to IMES for $8 million. If you want to create homeschool products for this community, for the first time ever, you can launch them. You can get to $1 million and have a multi-million-dollar exit. Let me give you one little hack specific for this community. Some of you have blogs, podcasts, email lists, YouTube channels, social media followings, email lists. The way that e-commerce sites like Amazon.com work is if you send outside traffic from your community to its listing, it gives you free advertising. It's kind of like if you go into Target and you ask for the cereal they don't carry, they're like, we don't carry that. But if 1,000 people go to Target and ask for a cereal, they're like, maybe we should carry this cereal and we should give it front placing. Amazon works like that. So if you have any exposure or know someone who does, you can launch products, send them over to the big tech giants that don't like us, and they'll give you free advertising, and you can have a multi-million-dollar business in 12 months. That's how it works. If you know how the game is played, you can change the hearts and minds of the people around you. My name is Ryan Moran. I run a podcast called capitalism.com. If any of you want the playbook to actually how to build these, I wrote a book. You can torrent it. I don't care. Get it from the library. Don't care. Or if you just want the cliff notes, you can go to capitalism.com/playbook. That has the cliff notes for the formula of how this is done. But it is my opinion that we have more opportunity than ever before, that this community is in a unique position to change the trajectory of where we go as a country and as a world. And that free market capitalism is our best shot at creating the change that we want to see in this world. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Oh, well done, man.
Hey, thanks,
Well
man.
done,
What's
yeah.
your name?
John Hill.
Hey, John Hill. Ryan Moran.
And
Nice to meet you.
I had to embarrassingly say I didn't know of you. I was telling my daughter, it's just so encouraged to come here and hear someone like you, because I didn't know you, and it's like the world's a better place in my mind now.
Oh, good.
Just because
I'm
I know
glad.
you exist.
Thank you, John. I
And
appreciate
seriously,
that. We're not in the media, but we are many.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's a great presentation.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
All
John.
right, thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.